Hi, good afternoon to everyone here. Hope everyone's doing okay. It's winding down to the end of the day for everyone, at least here in Kansas City. It's 3. So I have not been updating blogs quite as often as I wanted to. Part of that was, this might sound silly, but it took 3 days to get a blog ready to publish, and that just nobody got time for that. Seriously, that 3 days. I mean, granted, it was spaced out, but there was a lot more than you would think that takes into publishing a blog. I prefer interacting the way I am now with people. I kind of like just saying it. If blogs were just dictated mouth to blog, it would probably be something I would be a little more apt to do. But yeah, I think that weekly, and then also my blogs are coming on every other week. That's a lot of time in between. I understand that I would rather do something more often in a different format. So this is going to be a weekly type of segment. 15, 20 minutes, maybe a 30-minute at the most. I'll let you know if it's going to be a longer one. But this one's going to be relatively short. It's kind of just me kicking off and kind of giving you what to expect with this. So I have some topics in mind, some relating to that emotional wellness topics I'm passionate about, like your mindset, about self-care, about sleep, that's getting your stress to a manageable level, being the ideal you that I know that all of you can be. But I'm also completely open to answering questions. So, please, especially if it's related to, what we're talking about, or even if you have one that's like, hey, can you talk about this next week? I'm totally up for that. I love to have this be a dialogue, answer questions. I love that a lot of the times you guys will come up with something I didn't really think about, and that's really great because I totally see that other perspective, and I see the issues that people have in regards to some of these subjects and what challenges that you're going through. So yes, please, absolutely, send me your cues. I may not answer them that week, but especially if, we're kind of well underway in something else. But I absolutely will either reach out to you afterwards or, especially if this is something I think that can be its own topic, absolutely that next week I will work to address it. So that's kind of like that format, hopefully. Like, it's just going to be one quick subject. And anything in regards to that. Today, something really basic, but something that I think that is kind of up for not exactly debate, but can be confusing, is finding your why. If you've ever read Simon Sinek, he's big on that. Why are you doing what you're doing? For him, it's in the business sense of people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. That's a big thing for him. I'm taking it more on that personal development and that goal side of things, because what you want to accomplish, what objective you want to have, your end goal over here, that's all great. It's great to have that. Like, I want to quit my day job. I want to read 25 books this year. That one's me. I'm behind. Well, maybe not. I'm close to being behind on my books I'm reading this year. But, you can have that. But the why is more important, because the why is what's going to get you there. Because we're very, as a humankind, we're very much end goal. I'm going over here because it's kind of closer to you guys, but we're all very end goal oriented. We're like, okay, I need to do this to get to this destination, but that goalpost moves. the further you get along, that goalpost gets moved out, out, out. So you really have to be really centered and focused on the why. What is keeping you every day along this journey? Because over here, that's over there. That's not, when you aren't feeling unmotivated, or you are like laying in bed and you're just like, oh gosh, I was supposed to get up and do yoga, or I was supposed to meditate, I was supposed to journal, I was supposed to read. This part over here doesn't matter in that I'm laying in bed mode. It really doesn't. The why is what's going to get you there every single day. So to start off with, or just to kind of, again, just to illustrate, I am going to kind of speak to why I do what I do. So if you haven't met me yet, and yes, I know this is 6 minutes in, so good job, Crystal, for not introducing with this. But so I'm Crystal Sheffield-Baird. I am the founder of Phoenix Health Coaching. I'm a nurse and I'm an emotional wellness coach who primarily focuses on those in those healthcare and those service professions that feel like they keep putting themselves last, and they want to start caring for themselves because that's what's going to help them be more present with their families. That's going to make them more productive in their careers, give better care to your patients, your clients, your students. So I'm really focused on that. And the why there, because as you can imagine, a business isn't, again, I lie in bed at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning too, being like, oh, I was going to write that blog. Okay, we just talked about blogs and then I'm not doing them, but let's just say that I'm doing a blog. I was going to write that blog. The why for me to starting Phoenix Health Coaching was several reasons, but the biggest one, and the biggest reason why I wanted to focus more on that healthcare and that healing and that serving professions is because there's been so many times as a nurse personally that I have felt the weight, this overwhelming burden and this weight of all my patients who need something from me, and all of the families and the physician. And of course the physician calls 30 minutes before I'm supposed to clock out and write these orders. And like, there's just so much on me all the time. Like however many plates you have spinning, you can just imagine like that. You're like, oh, I have to let one drop. What am I going to let drop? And I will tell you, it's always you. It always ends up being you. If you've ever been in a healthcare profession, or you've ever been like, oh, can't pee yet, I got to wait another 3 hours before I'm done passing meds before I can actually go pee. We joke about this. This is this running joke among the nursing profession is that, oh, we have iron bladders. We don't ever have to pee. Well, we do. We take, I'm using urine as an example, I'm a 12-year-old boy. Anyway, but it's a great point because it's a basic human need that we let slide. Eating, forget about it. I might do that when I get home at 8 at night, these basic human needs, we already push back. And it's not just nurses, it's physicians, it's people in therapists, it's, you let a lot of your needs go by the wayside. And if you let your basic needs, your eating, your peeing, your sleeping, or whatever it is, go by the wayside, then what about all the broader needs of feeling proud and accomplished of your work, of feeling like you have hobbies or you're there for your family? There's, these are still needs, but if we're not letting some of these basic stuff, then I'll tell you, then that other stuff is certainly suffering. And it's happened for me, and it happens for most of the healthcare professionals and the teachers as well that I meet and that I'm friends with. And when I became an EMR consultant, and I know I was really popular, you can imagine, I was there with a brand new EMR to teach people. Yeah, it was fun in not a great way. I was kind of the punching bag sometimes, but I would go out there and I would kind of rebrand myself almost of like, yeah, I'm bringing something, you know, that you're not used to, that is kind of weird, and you're not used to using computers. Maybe you're used to using paper, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to stand beside you through a med pass, through a discharge, through a whatever, through an admission, you know, all these different things, to stand beside you and advocate for you when these processes or these things aren't working for you. And I really enjoyed that piece. You know, I enjoyed, again, engaging with these healthcare professionals, because I flat out have told them, and this is what should have been a wake-up call for me, was no one is advocating for you. You advocate for your patients. You advocate, you know, like for teachers, for your students. Who is advocating for you? And it's usually crickets going on, you know, there's nobody. And that there's something really wrong with that, because like I said, I know the burden. I know that the increasing demands, the shrinking budgets, this grant went away over here. That was part of my life in the Department of Health, was worrying about, well, I hope this grant's here next year for these kids, you know, and it's part of reality. Like, I wish I could, you know, wave this magic wand and a lot of that burden go away. But as an emotional wellness coach, I've really honed in on what are the strategies where we can either ease the burden, or we can even find ways to still cultivate our own well-being so we can be better in these other ways. So we can manage that workload, so we can, you know, so we can be there for our families, so we're not always exhausted running through a drive-through because, well, I don't have time to cook. I got off work 2 hours late charting. You know, that, like I said, healthcare system is what it is. While I would love to change it, and I think that that is happening on its own, and I am helping in many ways as I personally can. There's only so much one person can do. So when I was an EMR consultant standing side by side, that's what I want to do as an emotional wellness coach, is every day in some way stand elbow to elbow with you and guide you through this process of balancing the workload and the caseload, or you know, the load of classes, and also all these different other things that include yourself. You need to come first, because you cannot be the best nurse, teacher, physician, therapist, what have you, without that measure of self-care. You know, the research is out there. Most people in healthcare professions leave after like 10 years. You know, when obviously the working age is typically you're in your same job for 40 years. It's like 75% difference right there between 10 and 40. And there's no telling how many people, I can tell you right now, they do bedside nursing, for example, and they're like, oh, I can't, you know, that workload's too much. And they move to something that is still nursing but non-direct patient care. No offense to you guys still are needed, and you're still doing valuable services, and it's still extremely difficult, because I have done some of those non-bedside care roles. But maybe you wouldn't have left. Maybe you would have still wanted to be in that direct role, if not some of these other issues that were coming up with the administrative burdens and the increasing, you know, your exhaustion and your sleep schedule and all these other problems that kind of erode, you know, the why of why you became nurses, or why you became a teacher, or why you became a physician. So that's my why, and I feel like it's really powerful, because it's something I've kind of been working up to my entire adult life. And so, you know, when I wake up every morning, that is what I want to do, and that is why I am passionate, as you can hopefully see from, you know, how I'm speaking. And if you see me in person, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, she's like in your face with her energy. But And I think I'm just going to circle back to, what is your why? Why did you become in your profession? Why, what makes you happy about that? And then also, what makes you happy outside of that? Because your outside of that is just as important. And I've recently, and I will probably try to link it in the comments, but, I read a book called Rest and Why Working Less Allows You to Actually Do More Productive and More Powerful Work. So really look at, before you became in your profession, what made you decide on that? What made you choose that? What happened? What is those every few little things throughout the day that you're like, oh yeah, this is why I'm in this. This is why I'm passionate about this. And then also outside of that, what did you enjoy doing as a child, as a teenager, in college? Is there any sort of measure that you can bring back in your life in that? Because, as I've realized, especially as a business owner, life does not need to be about waking up, working, going to bed. Bring at least one thing back, or at least one little tiny 5 to 10 minutes that you can bring back into your life that will make it more powerful, and that will give you that recharging that I'm sure all of you desperately need. So I ran a little bit longer than I was expecting, about 16 minutes, but I really hope that this was powerful for you guys. As you can imagine, something I'm passionate about and could talk a lot longer about. So if you have any other questions, or you just want to give me some feedback, I'd love to hear it. So yeah, thanks everyone.